I've heard a lot of Trump fans claim that the media is just going at Trump, creating fake news, saying a bunch of bad stuff, and there's nothing to impeach him over. With Obama and Hillary, the GOP had to dig deep to find obscure, possible, vague reasons, and still never found anything. With Trump, this stuff is very much on the surface, and at least looks very bad unless you're not paying attention at all, which tends to be the case in polls about current Trump supporters. We're not even going to discuss his former business problems, such as Trump University and all the scams he's done. Here are the top 10 reasons why Trump could be impeached. Number 10, sexual assault. Many of us thought this alone would have isolated the religious right in most of America, but they didn't care. From allegations of groping a woman on a plane, to walking into the dressing room of Miss America contestants unannounced, to allegations of an underage girl, getting justice against someone who's super wealthy is really hard, as they can buy their time, drag things out, and threaten expensive countersuits. It's highly unlikely with Congress under Republican control, but if the Democrats gain at least the House, Bill Clinton was impeached for sex between two consenting adults for lying under oath. Trump is pretty much unable to tell the truth, and while highly unlikely, this sort of thing could be his downfall. Number 9, abuse of public funds. The fiscal conservatives freaked out at the travel and vacation expenses Obama had just due to the logistics of the Secret Service, ignoring, of course, that he took way less vacation days than George W. Bush did. Now, none of those supposed fiscal conservatives are even raising an eyebrow that Donald Trump is on track to spend the same amount on his vacations in his first year that Obama did for his entire administration. Add on the fact that Melania and her son Barron are living in Trump Tower, and also require Secret Service, costing the amount that could possibly pay for the National Endowments for the Arts, and the fact that they're both staying at his properties and are charging the government for it, which means the government is dumping money into Trump's pockets. Trump could face some conflicts of interest scandals and just abuse of public money charges, but only if Democrats win in 2018. Number 8, business ties to Russia. Donald Trump has many business ties all over the world. However, there are several noticeable ties that he has. One of the big ones was a Florida property he bought in a foreclosure auction for $40 million and could not get rid of to save his life. It's one of those crappy McMansions. Then a Russian billionaire snapped it up for around $100 million, just under 3 times the amount Trump bought it for. The reason was actually to snub his ex-wife and ensure that she could get as little money as possible from him, but it's also possible he was buying influence. Eric Trump was also reported bragging in 2014 that they had all the money they needed from Russia to run their business. These by themselves are pretty weak reasons to impeach, but combined with reasons number 5, 2, and 1, this could add extra fodder for impeachment. Number 7, use of White House for financial gains. On several occasions, the Trump family has used the White House website as platform for plugging items it wants to sell, from Melania's jewelry line to Trump properties to Ivanka's clothing line. These alone are insults to the office of the presidency just due to conflicts of interest, but add on that international dignitaries and briefings have been directly recommended to stay at the Trump Hotel in downtown DC, where in any other nation is a wink wink nod nod to pay for play and an easy method of bribery. There is a major reason why every other president closed or turned their businesses over to a blind trust just to ensure there's no way they could even be suspected for this sort of thing. Trump is waving a huge flag that this pay-for-play is exactly the case. Also, several companies are working on lawsuits to sue for unfair advantages in the market, as they can't get that kind of national free advertising, especially if they're hotels or property owners. Number 6, use of private email servers. The GOP gave hearing after hearing after hearing after hearing after hearing about Hillary's private email server, which was used because it had precedence under all the former secretaries of state, and the White House email was notoriously leaky and hackable, and Congress refused to give them money to fix it. While sloppy, James Comey could find no evidence that she broke any law, but a final note of investigation 2 weeks before the 2016 election helped to seal her doom. Now reports show that most people in the White House are currently using private email servers, and Trump is using an unencrypted, unsecured Samsung phone. Obama required a special encrypted BlackBerry to prevent security leaks. An unsecured phone, even with no actual classified data on it, could have its microphone hacked and listen in to sensitive information with no one the wiser. If Republicans were as tough on Trump as they were on Hillary, he would have been in front of many hearings on this issue alone. Number 5, business ties to known money launderers. In the United States, it's illegal for any business to do business with an alleged international money launderer, of which are listed by the United States government, and because this information is available, ignorance that they were money launderers is no excuse. On top of the backstopping of finances from Russia, and Russia buying properties at 3 times the cost it was worth, as popular forms of money laundering, evidence also shows that Trump Tower in Azerbaijan, a building where no one knows how to get to from the highway, is actually owned by a money launderer for the Iranian Republican Guard. This is not only a crime of aiding in money laundering, but aiding a terrorist organization. Number 4, leaking top secret information. A recent report leaked by top brass shows significant information that Trump met with 2 top Russian officials and a Russian journalist with no clearance, while American journalists were kicked out of the meeting. During the meeting, it was reported that incredibly top-level secret information given to us by a country that was supposed to remain anonymous was given to the Russians, and they were given enough information that a country with a good spy service, Russia, could easily figure out what nation it was. H.R. McMaster and others testified that it was not the case. However, more Republicans and FBI investigators are seriously wanting answers on the issue. If this is true, it could gravely impact our international spying network, as it would make more countries and individuals less likely to pass information on if their safety can't be certain. Add on top of this, on a phone call with President Duarte of the Philippines, Trump offhandedly mentioned that we have 2 ballistic missile submarines around North Korea. Anyone in the Navy knows that the location of ballistic missile subs is top secret information, and you don't tell people where they are. They hang out in the middle of the ocean to be there on call as a just in case. Tack onto that, the British police were keeping the Manchester bomber's potential identity secret because they didn't want to tip off possible other members that he had colluded with, and somehow the Trump White House also leaked that information. We are going to get attacked again with another 9/11 style, and no one will have warned us, specifically because they can't trust our government with secret information. Number 3, obstruction of justice. During investigations, it's a really bad idea to fire the people running the investigation. Nixon did this and was impeached and resigned 10 months later. First there was Preet Bharara, Sally Yates, and now James Comey, when Trump asked for a loyalty pledge from him, which is incredibly disloyal to the American people and is something a mob boss or tyrant does. Then threatened him over Twitter, hoping to dissuade him from testifying. Also an obstruction of justice. That's what Nixon got impeachment hearings written up for before he resigned. The fact that he volunteered tapes did not help either, so even if nothing comes of any of his accusations, obstruction of justice could be enough to take him down. Number 2, breaking the emoluments clause. It was said day one that he was impeachable for violating this particular part of the Constitution, which is the emoluments clause, or the title of nobility clause. Article 1, Section 9 mentions people in office cannot have a title or nobility from a foreign government or from receiving gifts or emoluments from another nation. Emolument being payment for services to a foreign nation, as he has not put any of his businesses or money into a blind trust like every other president has, and instead passed it on to his children, who almost certainly tell him about the goings-on of his business. Trump has direct ties and finances tied up in the foreign government that can directly affect the decisions he makes. Legally speaking, giving things to family, while technically is not you in power, could directly be translated by a judge that, no, you still own this and are doing this. Therefore, he is in direct violation of the Constitution right now, even if none of the rest of these allegations turn out to be real. Number 1, campaign ties to Russia. This one has made me take the longest to put this video together, mostly just due to the sheer bulk of data and information. I made this last week, and every day new information turns up. I need to put this into a short enough video with the most important points listed, but there is a huge list of articles with much more information in the below bar that show more evidence. At the current moment, we have no indication that Donald Trump himself had any direct communication to Russia during the campaign. However, there's a lot of evidence that Mike Flynn, Paul Manafort, and Jeff Sessions did. And there's evidence that there were backdoor channels with Russia created by the president of Blackwater, who happens to also be Betsy DeVos's brother. Mike Flynn also was a for-profit agent of Turkey, working without being registered in the US government as a foreign agent. By the way, he still isn't registered. Jared Kushner also has a lot of links to Russia, and Carter Page has some of the most strong ties to Russia, and there is evidence directed by the CIA that he was groomed for a long time to be a Russian spy. The CIA, FBI, and DoD, and hearings from experts on Russian cyber propaganda have reported the tactics used by Russia in terms of hacks, leaks, trolling, and chatbots, all spreading mass misinformation and splitting the opposition party and trying to get people not to go vote, not only in the US, but in multiple nations around the globe. And the British government is even suspecting Brexit may have been helped significantly enough by them. And they must maintain the attack, according to experts, even in peacetime, and when there isn't an election, to maintain influence. If Trump did not collude with Russia, and he just happened to be a happy coincidence for him when there is nothing he did wrong, that's fine. However, there are way too many weird questions about this White House that at least appears to point to connections and collusion, such as Trump allegedly leaking secrets, people with no security clearance being given access to top-level information, people who the FBI, CIA, and Justice Department warning had ties to Russia and could be compromised were still given jobs in high-security areas. Mike Flynn's security clearance credentials were never checked, even though it had lapsed while working as a foreign agent for Turkey when he came to the White House, and Jeff Sessions lied about several meetings with Russia before Trump's election during his security clearance interviews, and Vice President Mike Pence, who was in charge of this, knew this and let it all happen anyway in spite of his constant blatant lying. It will take some time, and hopefully with the special prosecutor, we will find out who may be guilty and who is innocent. People are pleading the fifth left and right, asking for clemency, and Trump is firing people left and right since he came into office, like this is an episode of The Apprentice. Trump may be completely innocent of any collusion with Russia, but at most the American people are really uneasy about this and want complete transparency to discover if we can still trust our democracy to function, and if our elected leaders are above the law or not. Thank you for watching. All links are in the below bar. I hope you learned something from this video. If you did, like, rate, and subscribe to the channel, and consider supporting me on Patreon. Thank you so much, and have a great day.